Hello everyone and welcome back to Oba's Trending Gist. Today we are diving into a heated exchange from Arise News that shed light on the complex world of Nigerian politics. Rufai Oseni, always sharp, squared off against Mazi Ejimofor Opara, the National Publicity Secretary of APGA, discussing Governor Soludo's governance in Anambra State and APGA's perceived alignment with President Tinubu. This isn't just about political endorsement, it is a masterclass in understanding regional interests and party strategies in a federal system. Let us watch the clip first, then we'll break down the layers of this fascinating conversation. Sit back and take a watch.
Now, Governor Charles Soludo of Anambra State has declared his support for President Bola Tinubu because of the president's bold steps on the economy and structural reforms. He urged political parties that identify as progressive to form a broad coalition to advance not only democracy, but also economic and social development in Nigeria. According to Soludo, the All Progressives Grand Alliance APGA and the All Progressives Congress APC will work together as both parties share a common belief in progressivism. Well, joining us on the show to discuss the party's endorsement of Soludo and Tinubu for second terms and Soludo's milestones undergirding his choice for a second term is Mazi Ejimofor, National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Grand Alliance APGA. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program today.
Good morning, Vinbai. Good morning, Dr. Bati, and good morning, Rufai.
Okay, I differ. I just think APGA has enjoyed the power of incumbency over the years, so succession has been an easier task for them, so I don't think it's a long game. And when you say in terms of development, I mean, I don't see it. There's nothing that is as grand and visible that comes, to my face in terms of development. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. And third, technology does APGA and APC have in common? Because I'm shocked. And if there was this symbiotic relationship, the last time I heard, I'm not sure that Mr. Charles Soludo supported President Tinubu in the last presidential election. Is it because he's president now that all of a sudden this frolicking and in-bed movement is there because he came to commission a project? I mean, I can't remember. So I don't see I just think that his politics speak in here to a large extent. I mean, I don't see the correlation. I don't see the real chest-beating situation, that comes out of all of this. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, of course, you're wrong, Rufai, and I would like to correct that impression because, of course, I don't know if you've been to Anambra before.
Yes, I have, many times.
Before APGA.
I was in Awka about last year.
Hello, what did you say?
I was in Awka last year and I didn't see anything.
You said
grand.
You were where?
I was in Awka last year.
Okay, you were in Awka last year. Were you in Awka like 10, 15 years ago?
Oh, yes. I mean, I always travel through.
Were you in Awka like 10, 15 years ago? Because
I always travel through.
You can only
Awka,
compare
Onitsha,
when you know what
Enugu.
existed and what is currently on ground.
Yeah,
so,
but
and for me, it's also a very sweeping remark for you to say that the governor didn't support Asiwaju maybe in the last election and all that. Now, the Governor Charles Soludo was, happens to be one of the very few Nigerians who came up with the most objective analysis of the 2023 election. And he didn't just say it, it was documented, especially for the people of not just Anambra, but of Southeast extraction. And if you go back to read that his seminal treatise on history beckons and I will not be silent, you would go there and you would see that he laid it very bare. He laid it very, very bare. And where his thoughts were with regards to the last election, 2023 election, nobody would say he or she is a miss of where Governor Soludo stood in the last election. So I would advise that you go back to that seminal treatise to actually read and understand, what Governor Soludo, said and his clear analysis of that outing. And that's how I'm going to leave it,
Can you hear me?
With regards to that question. But back to what you said with regards to the development of Anambra.
Can you hear me? I've lost track even hearing you, but...
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you, yeah?
Yeah, okay. Can you show me where, Governor Soludo endorsed President Tinubu in the last election? And if he did that, why didn't his influence make President Tinubu win Anambra State in the last election? I'm not talking about the History Beckons article, but where he endorsed President Tinubu in the last election. And if he did that, why didn't that weigh on President Tinubu's vote? Why didn't APC win Anambra? That's what I'm asking you. If you can hear me.
Now, I have told you this, that, in understanding the politics of, Nigeria and understanding where Governor Soludo stood in the last election, that you have to go back and read that treatise. And in that treatise, it made it very, very clear that, Ndi Igbo, and by extension, Ndi Anambra, they have to understand that in Nigeria, what plays out, you negotiate for power, with your numbers. And he said that very clearly. But of course, it is, we have our own peculiar understanding with regards to how we play the national politics down here. And you know that a son of the soil was also on the ballot in that election, and you wouldn't have understood otherwise. But we're talking about APGA as a party. And I've always said this to people who care to hear, that as a political party, APGA is not a civil society organization. It's a party that has its own interest, and must always forge ahead with its own interest.
Ejimofor.
And just as you know, every other person who belongs to whatever party they belong to would advance their own interest.
Ejimofor.
So now, in the previous elections, there may not have been very straight or direct endorsement to say, okay, this is where we are, this person we are supporting and all that. But he narrowed it down to a two-horse race. To a very fantastic two-horse race, and it almost came down to that. But now this is a new. Can you hear me?
Yeah. That was quite the exchange. Rufai Oseni certainly didn't hold back, directly challenging Mazi Ejimofor Opara on two key points. First, he questions the visible impact of Governor Soludo's development initiatives in Anambra, stating his own observation from Oka last year. Rufai implied that there was nothing grand and visible to show for it. Opara, however, immediately countered, suggesting Rufai might not have the full historical context of Anambra's development prior Soludo's administration. The second major point of contention was APGA's alleged endorsement of President Tinubu. Rufai queried why Soludo's support influence didn't translate into an APC victory in Anambra during the last presidential election, insinuating that APGA's current frolicking and the in-bed movement with Tinubu was merely political opportunism now that he is president. Opara meticulously clarified Governor Soludo's position, stating that Soludo had provided an objective analysis of the 2023 election, which was meticulously documented for the people of not just Anambra, but the entire Southeast. He stressed that APGA is a political party with its own interests, not a civil society organization, and its actions are driven by advancing those interests. Opara also subtly pointed out that the presence of a son of the soil on the ballot, that is a clear reference to Peter Obi, significantly influenced voting pattern in Anambra, impacting who won the state. This discussion offers some crucial insights into the intricate dance of Nigerian politics. Ejimofor Opara's responses were not just denial, but a strategic reframing of APGA's stance. His distinction between a political party and a civil society organization is fundamental. It underscores that political parties, by nature, prioritize their survival and influence, often engaging in pragmatic alliances regardless of the past electoral support. The reference to a son of the soil factor is also incredibly telling. It highlights how ethnic and regional sentiments can heavily sway electoral outcomes in Nigeria, sometimes overriding party allegiances or even perceived development records. This factor significantly complicates national political strategies and explains why a state governor's endorsement might not translate directly into votes for a national candidate from a different region. Rufai Oseni, on his part, fulfilled a vital role of a critical journalist, challenging narratives and pushing for transparency on political motivation. However, Opara's calm, documented references and explanation of APGA's strategic interest demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of political chess. APGA's current engagement with the federal government, despite not having delivered Anambra to Tinubu, reflects a calculated move to secure benefits and influence for the state and its people, a common and often necessary strategy in Nigerian federalism. So, what are your thoughts on APGA's political maneuvering? Do you agree with Opara's defense of Governor Soludo's leadership and APGA's approach to national politics? Share your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Obas Trending Gist for more in-depth analysis of current affairs. See you next time.